Welcome back to the program. A disturbing story over at rawstory.com. Anything Goes Friday, by the way. We'll be picking up your calls in just a moment. I just have to share this with you first. It's by John Byrne, published 4 hours ago. The headline, Bush Memos Parallel Claim that 9/11 Mastermind's children were tortured with insects. Jay Bybee, now a federal judge. If you're charged with a federal crime, you may end up with this guy as your judge. Wouldn't that be fun? Jay Bybee, at the time director of the White House Office of Legal Counsel, wrote that insects could be used to capitalize on detainees' fears. That was August 1st, 2002. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the guy who has basically confessed, although he says he was tortured into the confession, but nonetheless, who has confessed to being the mastermind behind 9/11. You know, take it for what it's worth, but nonetheless, he's made this confession. His children were captured either by the CIA or by Pakistan's intelligence services the following month, a month after the memo came out saying, use insects to torture people. Now, quoting from the article here over at rawstory.com by John Byrne, at a military tribunal in 2007, the father of Guantanamo detainee alleged that Pakistani guards had confessed that American interrogators used ants to coerce the children of alleged 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed into revealing their father's whereabouts. The statement was made by Ali Khan, the father of detainee Majid Khan, who gave a detailed account of his son's interrogation at the hands of American guards in Pakistan. In his statement, Khan asserted that one of his sons was held at the same place as the young children, as I recall they were 7 and 10 years old, of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the alleged mastermind of the 9/11 attacks. Quote, the Pakistani guards told my son that the boys were kept in a separate area upstairs and were denied food and water by the other guards. They were also mentally tortured by having ants and other creatures put on their legs to scare them and get to say where their father was hiding. And it turns out this isn't the first time we've heard this story. Ron Suskind, in his 2006 book, The 1% Solution, wrote, quote, when KSM was being held at a secret CIA facility in Thailand, apparently the revamped Vietnam War base at Udorn, according to Suskind, a message was passed to interrogators, do whatever's necessary, Kevin Fenton writes at History Commons. The interrogators then told Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, quote, his children would be hurt if he didn't cooperate, end quote. However, his response was, so fine, they'll join Allah in a better place. But apparently the children were used to find him in the first place. This is getting very disturbing. 866-987-TOM, our telephone number. Gerhardt in San Francisco says you want to disagree with me. What's up?
Yes, I do, Tom. You know, if you are in the fight for your life in a boxing ring, let's say, and you are scrupulously observing the Marquise of Queensberry rules, but the person you're fighting against is kicking below the belt, hitting below the belt, and et cetera, you're going to not just lose, you're going to have your head handed to you.
You're assuming, okay, Gerhardt, that the entire fight is taking place inside the ring and that the people sitting around the ring who are watching the fight have not gone in, torn down the posts, torn down the ropes, and taken out your opponent for being an SOB and not playing by the rules.
This is what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying your metaphor doesn't work.
Anybody, anywhere on the face of this earth, I don't care if it's Afghanistan or Pakistan or Birmingham, England or Sacramento, if you are fighting for the imposition of Sharia law, you are a diseased bacillus upon the human population and you should be killed. Okay? Now,
No, Gerhard, you should be exposed. You should be convicted of the
That won't
crimes.
work.
You should be. We need to let people know. You know, after
We
the mentality that you're espousing, Gerhard, is what feeds this stuff.
We
After
need
9/11, we
Gitmo.
had people all over the world coming together and saying, "We are all Americans now." They were horrified. You had Muslims
No, they
all over the
weren't.
world saying, "We got nothing to
No,
do with
they
this
weren't.
Osama bin Laden guy. He's friggin' nuts." And as a consequence of George Bush saying that we're going on a crusade, that we're going to smoke them out, all of this stuff, demonizing Muslims, you had Muslims saying, "Oh, wait a minute, they are out to get us. I guess we need to pull together." And Bush made bin Laden a hero.
Let me say this. These Mohammedan terrorists do not have human rights. Not only
How about the
that,
Christian terrorists,
but they
Gerhard?
do not qualify for anything except the status of a non-uniformed combatant.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Gerhard. Let me share with you. This will make you crazy because it's Hillary Clinton, but it's just a marvelous quote.
When General Washington led his soldiers across the Delaware River and on to victory in the Battle of Trenton, he captured nearly 1,000 foreign mercenaries, and he faced a crucial choice. How would General Washington treat these prisoners?
General Washington.
The British had already committed atrocities against Americans, including torture. As David Hackett Fisher describes in his Pulitzer Prize-winning book, Washington's Crossing, thousands of American prisoners of war were treated with extreme cruelty by British captors. There are accounts of injured soldiers who surrendered being murdered instead of quartered. Countless Americans dying in prison hulks in New York Harbor. Starvation and other acts of inhumanity perpetrated against Americans confined to churches in New York City.
The British worse than
Well, you can
Osama.
imagine the light of our ideals shone dimly in those early dark days, years from an end to the conflict, years before our improbable triumph and the birth of our democracy. General Washington announced a decision unique in human history, sending the following order for handling prisoners: treat them with humanity and let them have no reason to complain of our copying the brutal example of the British Army in their treatment of our unfortunate brethren. George Washington understood that how you treat enemy combatants can reverberate around the world. We must convict and punish the guilty in a way that reinforces their guilt before the world and does not undermine our values.
And this is what's so tragic and pathetic about the worldview espoused by Gerhard and people like him, is he correctly points out that people who cut people's heads off and people who blow themselves up and like that are criminals. They're sociopaths. They're wrong. They're crazy. They're wrong. Well, criminal is I think a very strong word. And his solution? That we should become just like them. Gerhard, that's sick. That's twisted. That is anti-American. That is so mind-numbingly anti-American that I'm astounded to hear it coming out of the lips of an American. I'm assuming that you know nothing about this country's history, that you've never bothered to read the Declaration of Independence or the Bill of Rights or the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights, and that, frankly, you have no consideration. You don't care about the fate of this nation in the future of the world. Because if we become just like them in fighting them, the world will turn against us, as it did during the Bush administration. And if the world turns against us, we will not be able to fight them. It's really quite simple. Anything Goes Friday, 27 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back.